My friends, welcome to the Military Conclusion channel. And in this video we will discuss the Polish request to receive American nuclear weapons on its territory, which is seen by Warsaw as essential for its survival. Subscribe to the channel, help us always bring better quality content to you and more people. Activate notifications, and like if you like the video. After the video I ask you to leave a comment about what you think about the news and about some specific content you want to know. Without further ado, let's go to the video. The first thing to talk about nuclear weapons is also the most obvious. Their power of destruction and the fear they cause cannot be classified as purely defensive weapons like a grenade or even a missile, which no matter how modern it is not comparable to an atomic bomb. And its unrestricted and automatic use in response to a conventional attack is seen as an absurdly disproportionate response and can lead to a response from other nations and nuclear retaliation, causing a total disaster on the planet, something unthinkable. Thus, nuclear weapons are classified as deterrent weapons. It is a guarantee that the country that has them will not be attacked. That is, the aggressor will always start from the principle that if he attacks and does not completely destroy the enemy, the response will also be nuclear. We have in history examples of nuclear powers that were attacked by conventional means and responded by conventional means. We can mention the wars between India and Pakistan, two nuclear powers that throughout recent history have been involved in conflicts over territorial disputes and never made use of their nuclear means. We must mention the case of Israel, which although it does not officially say that it has nuclear means of deterrence, it is known that it has them, and has always been involved in conflicts in its region, always responding by conventional means, even when under strong attacks such as in the Yom Kippur War, when due to disputes over lands near the Suez Canal, Israel was attacked by several countries such as Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, Kuwait, Libya, Iraq, Morocco, Sudan, Algeria, and even Cuba. And even with such an attack coming from several directions, Israel defended itself conventionally, always using the same types of weapons as its aggressors, considering using them only in case of defense for a possible annihilation of the State of Israel. In this conflict, the deterrent nature of nuclear weapons became clear. They should only be used in response to a nuclear attack. But although the logic of deterrence has worked until now, there is a problem. It only needs to fail once, and the world is at serious risk of annihilation. Recently, the Russian leader announced the sending of nuclear weapons to Belarus, claiming that if the United States can position such weapons in other countries and close to its territory, then he also has that right. It is already known about the sending of the first batches of nuclear weapons to Belarus, and although the United States government affirms that there is no indication that the Kremlin plans to use nuclear weapons to attack Ukraine, Vladimir Putin himself at an economic forum a few days ago said that the use of extreme measures is possible if there is danger to the Russian state. And how does the United States nuclear sharing in Europe work? Nuclear sharing refers to the policy of sharing control of nuclear weapons with states that have not developed them, and this in the case of European countries is done through NATO. This term refers to a system in which NATO countries that do not have their own nuclear weapons participate in plans for the use of nuclear weapons by the organization, including being responsible for delivering these weapons in case of conflict. In other words, member countries share responsibility and control over nuclear weapons. They decide together on nuclear policy, maintain necessary equipment such as planes that can carry these weapons, and store nuclear weapons on their territory. If a conflict broke out, the weapons would be delivered by these countries. Although France, the United Kingdom, and the United States are NATO's three nuclear powers, so far, only the United States has shared its nuclear weapons. In 2009, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, and Turkey were known to host American nuclear weapons as part of this system. Today, it is estimated that about 100 American nuclear bombs are stored in different parts of Europe, ready to be used in case of war. These weapons are kept in secure shelters, usually at air bases. and all of them are installed on B-61 freefall bombs that can be launched from fighters such as the F-16 and Tornado. The B-61 bomb began production in the 1960s, and since then, more than 3,100 units of various models and versions have been delivered, with each one being able to receive warheads ranging from 0.3 to 400 kilotons, and can be included in the category of tactical nuclear weapons, bombs with less destructive power, but which are indicated to destroy military targets such as armored columns, ports, bridges, airports, and can only be used with American authorization. That is, governments of countries where bombs or cannot use such weapons when they wish. But in case of a nuclear war, the American government understands that the Non-Proliferation Treaty loses its value. And in case of a nuclear attack on a NATO member, the use of these weapons becomes foreseen, and thus all NATO members would also become full members with nuclear power, legally able to use nuclear weapons. And in peacetime, these weapons are in these countries only to deter the attack of rival nuclear powers. And in this case, we clearly speak of Russia. And now, with nuclear weapons in Belarus, a lot can change. The dictator of Belarus, Lukashenko, is a huge critic of the Polish government, and Poland sees this as a threat. And from this, and with the Russian aggression in Ukraine, and the most varied nuclear threats from members of the high echelon of the Russian government, the Polish government requested its country's participation in the nuclear sharing program. The Polish government has perhaps been the most active in combating the Russian government within NATO, and knows that in a war between Russia and NATO in Europe, its country would be extremely affected. And the Poles have no positive memories of events that occurred in the past, such as in the First and Second War, when it had weak governments and armed forces incapable of defending themselves. And to make matters worse, the country's geography does not help. It is right in the center of great powers, and would in this case be a passage for Russian attack forces. This nuclear sharing system is seen as a way to strengthen collective security within NATO by sharing responsibility and power over nuclear weapons. However, it also raises important questions about nuclear weapons proliferation and global security stability. And with that, Putin feels entitled to put his weapons in Belarus. For the Russian government, these weapons in Poland are extremely dangerous, with Medvedev, a former Russian president, known for his frequent nuclear threats, saying that such weapons in Poland will inevitably lead to their use in Europe, which makes no sense since NATO's own statute provides for their use only in response to an attack on one of its members. Days ago, the Polish president himself said that there is always the possibility of participating in nuclear distribution. We have spoken with American leaders about whether the United States is considering the possibility of making nuclear weapons available to us within NATO. The topic is open. The Polish president also stressed that nuclear weapons positioned on Polish territory would not be under Polish control, and that participation in NATO's program does not imply having its own nuclear weapons. There is still no response to this request, but everything indicates that there is indeed a possibility that the response will be positive, especially in a context of conflict in Ukraine, and with an unstable allied country like Belarus bordering Poland itself now with nuclear weapons. We have to wait for history to unfold to see if Poland will finally have the weapons it wants. And will Russia accept? And most importantly, what will be the reaction of Belarusian dictator Lukashenko? Dear friends, if you've made it this far, leave your like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us always keep quality content for you. Thank you very much, and see you next time.